Good morning, or I did it again. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Good morning if you're in Japan, I guess. So if you're listening on the Japan side of the world, I guess good morning. Even or you're not. I don't know why you're up right now, or I don't know what time it is. I'm totally guessing at that. Hoping you're having a great Thursday. What is today? Yeah, it is Thursday. Thursday evening. Yes, it's a couple days to doomsday here in the deep south. How are you? Sorry, let's start over. How about this? Welcome, everybody. Let's get right to it because I couldn't not go today without doing one because of the obvious news of the new global government that just got set up last night. You've probably seen it. It's under the word peace, but war is peace, ignorance is strength. Everything's upside down. 1984. So yeah, peace, kind of, sort of. Anyway, let's start with some federalism ideas. Florida is set to become the first state in these United States to ban all jabs, mandates of any kind, not just the sniffles. Your body's a gift from God, he said. Pretty much every state has them. It's wrong. And he says underneath, Carter says, should this be done in every state? It's up to the states. But hey, I'm all for it. Health does not come from a needle. It's not like you're Captain America and you have to do it. Sometimes you have to do it. I get it. Yeah, but this is a dumb one because if you look up anything about those, you see that again. If you ever gone the book, Dissolving Illusions. See if I can type that in real quick. Dissolving Illusions. If you ever seen this. They actually have a website. It is dissolvingillusions.com. I think it is. Yeah, it is dissolvingillusions.com. Get that book. It has graphs and stats and everything that you like to just smack down people that post like that guy did with mumps doing jack like this. Again, if the MMR thing worked, why is there MMR cases? They'll show the graphs because most of the time you'll see the graph and it says, here's when the jab came in, here's where, and it's everything was on the decline. Well, these guys bring it up 30,000 feet and notice it'll go down like this. And then boom, here's where the jab came in. It was already going down. Again, this is it has citations, documents, graphs, the whole 9 yards. Get that book if you have trouble convincing someone else. Here is Leo today. Or yesterday, blessing the lambs for St. Agnes Day. Nicholas goes, I've been thinking a lot about how Pope Leo's kind, gentle, personnel demeanor is going to do a lot of argument winning. You might be complaining, whining, even screaming at the church about XYZ. Meanwhile, our most serene Roman pontiff is gently smiling and winning hearts. Austin Ivory, who complains about everything. But in the era of Laudato Si, is it right to treat animals in this way? They would be utterly petrified. There's a line from Brian McClanahan when he talks about how people on the fake left go after things like, we want to get rid of this, we want to get rid of that, we want to get rid of this. Someone tell Austin, no, shut up. Pretty much. Just stop. Here's Leo doing something unusual, calling out the worldwide persecution of Christians. This narrative breaker won't go down without some. Here's I think he's speaking. I'll play it for you. Don't get to hear him all the time, right? Especially I usually skip over it, but I'll try to incorporate some.
Overlooked that the persecution of Christians remains one of the most widespread human rights crises today, affecting over 380 million believers worldwide. They suffer high or extreme levels of discrimination, violence, and oppression because of their faith. This phenomenon impinges on approximately 1 in 7 Christians globally, and it worsened in 2025 due to ongoing conflicts, authoritarian regimes, and religious extremism. Sadly, all of this demonstrates that religious freedom is considered in many contexts more as a privilege or concession than a fundamental human right. Here I would especially call to mind the many victims of violence, including religiously motivated violence in Bangladesh, in the Sahel region, and in Nigeria, as well as those of the serious terrorist attack last June on the parish of St. Elias in Damascus. Nor do I forget the victims of jihadist violence in Cabo Delgado, Mozambique. At the same time, we must not forget a subtle form of religious discrimination against Christians, which is spreading even in countries where they are in the majority, such as in Europe or the Americas. There, they are sometimes restricted in their ability to proclaim the truths of the gospel for political or ideological reasons, especially when they defend the dignity of the weakest, the unborn, refugees and migrants, or promote the family.
Oh yeah, I forgot I got it on the one. Let me delete that, come back in, hit share. Okay, this is why I don't do a lot of church politics stuff, because I don't know who these guys are. I stay with the guys, the bishop. I know the bishop here, know the bishop's name here, know the bishop's name in South Carolina. Jock. I couldn't tell you his last name. It's from Dominican Republic or Haiti. Couldn't you put a gun in my head? I think I remember it starts with a Z in Raleigh. Outside of that, I don't know many of them. I don't try to keep up with it. It's not in my lane. It's not in my. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't make me a holier person if I know the bishop in Utah, so I can make sure I can trash him online or anything like that. Or I don't have a clue who people are across the sea, so I don't know who these guys. So I don't trust the Catholic media most of the time, because most of it is just clickbait. Again, because if it was, I would see more of this. I would see more people talking about what the Pope said about Christians being persecuted. I haven't seen anybody bring that up, because it's all about if it bleeds, it leads. And if you can find the worst, we'll lead off with that. That's the story we run with. And we don't talk about kitties being rescued in a tree. It's the worst thing that can happen. Whatever, if the Pope says something good, we don't talk about it. But if the Pope says something completely nuts, then we definitely make sure we hit live. So LifeSite says they appointed a pro-LGBT Archbishop Carlo Roberto Maria Redaelli. Again, I have zero clue who that guy is. And this guy says he did not appoint a pro-LGBT archbishop to the Vatican clergy role. So again, I don't think someone else help me on that. Tell me if that's right or who's right, and help me to find out what is correct and what isn't, because like I said, I have zero clue. I've had friends of mine send me links. I know it's just not my thing. I couldn't tell you. If you put it, I don't want to trust. I can't trust the Catholic media. So I don't know. What do you guys tell me? Because you see contradicting reports all over the place. Here's Ron DeSantis talking about the 57 House Republicans just joined almost all the Democrats to ensure the government can shut off your car whenever it wants. Ron DeSantis, the idea that the federal government would require auto manufacturers to equip cars with a kill switch that can be controlled by the government is something you'd expect in Orwell's 1984, and yet we're about to have it. Again, kind of in the sense of this way. I can't control the Vatican, which goes back to the other one. We have a little bit better control if we get our minds right and get active and get the willpower. And maybe we get some priests on board that start talking about this too. We get some priests on board that are talking about, hey, we got to talk about breaking away from this stuff. We got to declare a defense. We got to get away. This is tyrannical nut job. This is a technocratic hellhole that they're building right now. We get priests talking about stuff like this. Hence why I keep bringing this up. Maybe I'll start catching some that can start doing more podcasts on stuff like this, getting the word out there, that the church lead the way in in a resistance type deal of fighting this technocratic communist move that's going after. Because again, flock cameras, ring cameras, now you got the kill switch on cars coming. Maybe people will start seeing that maybe you won't be able to go to mass one day because they're going to kill your car whenever they want. You don't think that could happen? They shut down the world 5 years ago. I know I keep bringing it up. Did you think 5 years in 2015, if someone would have told you, in 5 years, people are going to call about the sniffles and they're going to shut the world down, and you'd be wearing muzzles all over the place and be afraid to do anything, and you see somebody coughing, you're going to go like, oh, unclean. You would have thought they were nuts. Yet it happened, and they're still pushing on that. I got another call. I got a clip actually on that, or at least a post. This is not over yet. Here's Thomas Massie talking about the federal law says new cars after 2026 must monitor drivers and shut down if the car disapproves. Your dashboard should not be judge, jury, and executioner. Here's Representative Scott Perry and Chip Roy offered an amendment to defund the automobile kill switch mandate. Here's our debate. I'll play a little bit for it. It is kind of important. I think it's more important than worrying about who the Pope are, because I really can't do anything for that. And again, that's not going to cause you not to get to heaven.
And Mr. Roy from Texas. And I regret that we have to offer this amendment. What I'm going to describe will probably sound like a bad science fiction movie, but that's what's written into law. Right now in law, that's going to be implemented it says for 2026 and beyond. Now, the reality is the technology doesn't exist, but that doesn't keep legislators from imagining things that they would like to do to infringe on civil liberties. But there is a law that states that every vehicle manufactured is going to have a kill switch in it. The car itself will monitor your driving. And if the car thinks that you're not doing a good job driving, it will disable itself. So the car dashboard becomes your judge, your jury, and your executioner. Imagine this. We got a snowstorm coming. A mom takes her kids out. They're going to the grocery store. It's snowing. They're trying to get some groceries before the big storm hits. She swerves for a pothole. The neighbor's pet gets in the way, swerves for that. First responder goes by. She pulls over. Her car says, "You got one more swerve, and then we're going to ground you." There it is. The next thing she has to avoid, an icy patch in the road. The car has adjudicated her as unsuitable for driving. It disables the vehicle, and there she's stranded. My question is, how do you appeal your sentence once your car, the technology in your car, has judged you to be incapable of driving? Once it's disabled you and your children at the side of the road, how do you appeal that? Do you press a button on the dashboard? Do you start talking to an AI? What if it really was somebody who was drunk? Are you really going to send a police car after this? Disabled vehicle? Do we have the resources to do that? There's going to be so many false positives. The technology is unworkable. That's why the DOT is still in the rulemaking process, asking for feedback on how this thing could even exist. And it's just a bad idea, but it's in law. And so our amendment would defund that. And with that, I'd like to reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, drunk driving is a serious problem, but 31 states already have the technology to keep drunk drivers off of the road with ignition interlock devices that they can mandate. And this technology that's in the law is not going to fix the drunk driving problem. With that, I'd like to yield 2 minutes to my friend from Pennsylvania.
So they're using it for the safety thing too. But yeah, it's all about control. Here's a March for Life's miscalculation, a national review. The invitation to speak at Friday's march prematurely offers Vice President Vance the imprimatur of the pro-life movement. Vance will speak at the annual March for Life. I don't know why it still goes on. The whole idea was to get Roe out of the way. To get rid of Roe. Roe's gone. They're still doing the march. Why? Why don't you start focusing on the states? South Carolina is looking to abolish abortion completely. 0.0 of Pro-Life Inc. even has brought that up. I got nothing. It's just a pep rally now in a pretty much a field pass. We call it a field trip. It's a regrettable miscalculation to elevate Vance as a pro-life leader, given his track record on abortion as well as that of the administration he serves. See, Vice President himself publicly supported legal, accessible chemical abortions during the 2024 campaign and presently serves as a figurehead for an administration that has done markedly little to earn the celebration of pro-lifers. In fact, quite the opposite, which back to the centralization idea. It shouldn't matter what any of these guys think. Why? Because it's not up to the federal government. Trump could be the most rabid pro-deather in the history of pro-deathers. Shouldn't do one blasted thing for the pro-life movement because he has no authority in it. But now we don't have that because we have elected king, as Patrick Henry warned about, that would come from this. So we have to worry about that. Look at it in Article 2. He has no power for this. He has no reason. His opinion does not matter. Anything he says in a press conference, anything like that matters nothing. But it's just like everyone that's hyper elevated on the Pope. Every time he sneezes, we excommunicate the guy or something. Same thing with the president. Every time he says anything, we're like, oh, hyper focus. What did Trump say? What did Obama say? They don't have this power. We give it to them for some reason. Now they're an elected monarch. Again, it shouldn't matter who. And the vice president is really, you talk about a waste for a job. I think it was it Adams? I think it was Adams. Basically talked about how this is pretty much like the most worthless job ever because you're meaningless. You have one power is the tiebreaker. That's it. Or you're a heartbeat away, as they say. Used to be in the election, whoever won was president and whoever finished second was the vice president. Now it's, you got the team, the tag team, WWF style. But yeah, it's what if Vance, come on up give us a speech. What kind of power do you have? The hot dog guy has more power than him. But again, we don't even know what we don't even know what we don't know. Brian McClanahan talked about how people look at it. He was talking about an article talking about the guy wrote about dusting off historical books, and he laughed at it because it shouldn't be that way. But he goes, most people are. We're as a whole so ignorant on the historical ideas, and we don't even know what we don't know. We just accept anything anybody says anymore. Here's 76 House Republicans joined every single House Democrat in support of earmarks for abortions, gender procedures on children, DEI activism, and partisan pet projects. With Republicans like these, who needs Democrats? Again, it's a one-party system, one-party thing, and you're not in it. One big party, and you're not in it. There's the list of the guys. Oh, yeah, Elwers in North Carolina, Murphy from North Carolina. Yeah, here's the full list over here. But again, as they say, taxation without representation. Guess what? Divorce from DC. That's not a silly option. Syrian girl. It is now illegal in Australia to say Israel is committing a genocide. That is what anti-Semitism laws is all about, which we have here. They have to create laws to suppress truth. Solari report. Here's speaking at Davos. I'll play Mr. BlackRock, Larry Fink.
He's leading I think the movement towards tokenization, decimalization is necessary. It's ironic that we see two emerging countries leading the world in decimalization, in the tokenization and digitization of their currency. That's Brazil and India. I think we need to move very rapidly to doing that. We would be reducing fees. We would do more democratization by reducing more fees if we had all investments on a tokenized platform that you could move from a tokenized money market fund to equities and bonds and back and forth. We have one common blockchain. We will, we can reduce corruption. So I would argue that yes, we have more dependencies on maybe one blockchain, which we could all talk about. But that being said, the activities are probably processed and more secure than ever before. I think the movement toward
As Captain Austin Fitz says, there's no such thing as too much centralization. Then a few oligarchs could run the entire world from their saunas on their smartphones. Can you imagine an entire planet controlled and operated in a slavery control grid to make life simple for the handful of oligarchs who detest complexity and organic life? Remember, this is going on this week in Davos. Larry detests markets and nature and the risk management required. He prefers a Soviet economy packaged as high-tech coolness. Again, a technocratic police state coming. Benedicta, yeah, sorry about that. I was able to get this. It took me a half hour just to get all the stuff done. It's been a long day. I just got to it. And then when I was able to upload and get ready and put the thing on, I only gave it 5-minute warning. So YouTube needs 30 minutes or more to give out a notification. So it wouldn't do it. Nah, I wasn't going to wait till 10. So that's why. Man. Oh yeah. Here. Have you guys seen this? I'm sure if you're well, I don't know. You all probably don't follow everyone that I follow.
By the way, what are we doing with Greenland? We got to do something with Greenland. Where's my advanced team? Go to Greenland. They must have some satellite needs or something that we could do there. But we're coloring the world blue.
Yeah. As they all say, that makes sense now. Disney wants Greenland too. Here's a oh man. Try to even play him for you. Here's Lutnick. Good old Howard plays on the other team, Lutnick.
Okay. We are in Davos at the World Economic Forum. And the Trump administration and myself, we are here to make a very clear point. Globalization has failed the West and the United States of America.
They are globalists.
It's a failed policy. It is what the WEF has stood for, which is export, offshore, far shore, find the cheapest labor in the world, and the world is a better place for it. The fact is, it has left America behind. It has left the American workers behind. And what we are here to say is that America First is a different model, one that we encourage other countries to consider, which is that our workers come first. We can have policies that impact our workers. Sovereignty is your borders. You're entitled to have borders. You shouldn't offshore your medicine. You shouldn't offshore your semiconductors. You shouldn't offshore your entire industrial base and have it be hollowed out beneath you. You should not be dependent for that which is fundamental to your sovereignty on any other nation. And if you're going to be dependent on someone, it darn well better be your best allies. Okay? And so that is a different way of thinking. It is completely different than the WEF. I viewed the WEF as not a flagpole in the middle, but in fact, they are the flag. Whichever way the wind blew, so it blew. You should have solar, you should have wind. Why are you going to do solar and wind? Why would Europe agree to be net zero in 2030 when they don't make a battery? They don't make a battery. So if they go 2030, they are deciding to be subservient to China, who makes the batteries.
First off, it's net zero 2050. And second, yeah, China, the whole idea of the Great Reset is the U.S. versus China. And as David Ike says, you're entitled to have borders. Oh, really? Does that include Venezuela, Canada, Greenland, etc.? This ultra-Zionist Israel firster is telling the ever-diminishing Trump base that what it wants to hear while serving the very system they theatrically condemn but don't mean. 100%. These guys are globalists. He said globalism has failed. They are globalists. Oh, this is great. Speaking of Howard Lutnick's family is set to make billions when the Supreme Court strikes down Trump's tariffs. So you guys are, a couple of guys are going, oh, I can't do that because it'll destroy the economy. You think Howard cares about that? I think Donald Trump cares about that. Cannon Fitzgerald, a financial service firm runs by his two sons, had been quietly buying up the rights to tariff refunds for 20 to 30 cents on the dollar since H1 2025.
America or national.
Can I bring you back to Greenland?
No. It's unnecessary. It's the Western Hemisphere is vital for the United States of America. Our national security people are on it and they care about it. And I'm going to leave it to them to address with our allies, with our friends, and with everyone how they work it out. But the Western Hemisphere matters to the United States of America. And the United States of America, as I've just articulated, really, really matters to the world. When America shines, the world shines, because they all need to make sure America is strong and powerful to take care of them, God forbid. And so I think America and the Western Hemisphere are vital to America, and I'm going to leave that to my national security people to address.
Thank you, Howard. Howard Lutnick acquired $2 billion worth of Critical Metals Corp. Dollars on CRLM back in February 2024. He was underwater under 90% until Trump won the election. There he is right there. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick's investor bank Cantor Fitzgerald bets against Trump's tariffs. And as Daniel McAdams says, the administration only serves the ruling class. You've heard that before. These tariffs were nothing more than a massive transfer of wealth from middle to working class Americans to the uber rich class. Daylight robbery. Man, it's a Told You So Tuesday. Truth Stream Media. How many times do they have to say it was a test before people realized it was a test? World Economic Forum. Our world is transforming. Big community trends for sustainable cities. There have been significant developments in the last 5 to 7 years on social environment and technology fronts that could help realize my carbon initiatives for shaping the future towards smart and sustainable cities. Specifically, to mention 3 developments in this context. Rona 19 was the test of social responsibility. A huge number of unimaginable restrictions for public health were adopted by billions of citizens across the world. I wasn't one of them. I proudly admit that I did not adopt one restriction from these bums. There were numerous examples globally of maintaining social distancing. Didn't do that. Wearing masks? Nope, didn't do it. I did it for fun. Did it to mock it. I still have a bunch of masks right here. Just that I cut one. Yeah, this one I cut so I can speak through it. And it's just, I still got those to mock around just in case I need it. Mass vaccinations, nope, and acceptance of contact tracing applications for public health, still don't have them, which demonstrated the core of individual social responsibility. Let's get to the Board of Peace part of the program. 11 of the 25 countries on Trump's Board of Peace are currently banned from immigrant visas to the United States. Yeah, nothing says Board of Peace like having 2 founding members not show up for the signing ceremony because they would be arrested at the airport for war crimes. This was a great one. The only thing missing was Emperor Palatine. Now, Trump just ratified his Board of Peace like he's founding a new world order, but the Constitution is clear. Treaties need 2/3 Senate approval. So unless the Senate voted, this isn't an international organization. It's a photo op with a flag. 100% right. Yeah. Memberships are determined by Trump alone, who intends to charge $1 billion for permanent seats. It is governed by his own private charter, which only names one person, Chairman Trump, who may adopt resolutions or initiatives on its behalf without consulting the board, and who is a member for life. Experts said Trump is trying to make the organization into an alternative to the United Nations Security Council, where he has only veto power. Ladies and gentlemen, your new global government ran by the emperor of the world. Great googly moogly. Here's from the Ron Paul Institute. Trump wants $1 billion fee from states seeking to join Gaza Peace Board. According to the Saturday Bloomberg report, the Trump administration is asking nations interested in holding a permanent seat on a proposed Gaza Strip Board of Peace to pledge at least $1 billion in funding. Bloomberg described the U.S. allies and regional partners have already been briefed on the concept as part of a wider diplomatic efforts to influence and direct Gaza's future after the Israel-Hamas conflict. Washington seems to be arguing the spreading financial burden internationally is critical to preventing American taxpayers from shouldering much of the reconstruction costs. Shouldn't have none because it's not our land. Call me nuts. I don't know. Sadly, there was of no concern when the same taxpayers were footing the bill for billions in weaponry and foreign aid for Israel over prior years, even as Palestinian neighborhoods got flattened by U.S. bombs. The draft appears to suggest Trump himself would control the money, something that would be considered unacceptable to most countries who could have potentially joined the board. The Times of Israel has obtained a copy of the text of the board's charter, which says, quote, each member state shall serve a term of no more than 3 years from this charter's entry into force, subject to renewal by the chairman Trump. The 3-year membership term shall not apply to member states that contribute more than $1 billion in cash funds to the Board of Peace within the first year of the charter's entry into force, it added. As we detailed earlier, among the founding executive board members are U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Presidential Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, and former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. Satan was unavailable to join this program. The board also included private equity executive Mark Rohan, World Bank President Haja Banga, and U.S. National Secretary Advisor Robert Gabriel, according to the White House statement. The board, to be chaired by Trump, will oversee the Palestinian Technocratic Committee, also known as, remember the Technocratic Committee, if you missed that, also known as the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, NCAG, if you're nasty, which will be led by former Palestinian Authority official Ali Abdel Hamid Shayat. Sarah says, the man who invaded Iraq on a pack of lies, killing and displacing millions, is now appointed to the Gaza Peace Board. What a clown world. Again, that's why we got Clown Planet. That's why you think I named it this way. This is just accidental. It's like this is getting nutty. Still 5 minutes behind. I can try to talk slower. Hit the 1.5 speed, Benedict, the 2 or 2.0. I'll talk slower and it will probably make sense to you only. Trump's Gaza Peace Board faces opposition as France pulls back and Canada refuses to pay. Several countries has expressed concern over Trump's Gaza Peace Board, saying it would undermine the work of UN in Gaza. Once the future king, U.S. President Trump ambitious Board of Peace aimed at governance and reconstruction of post-war Gaza has faced fresh opposition as France and Canada have released a reluctance to join the initiative. By the way, he invited Pope Leo to be on the board too. And as someone, I hope Leo's not going to join it, but as someone rightly pointed out, I think was it Gaspers? I think Gaspers said that he should be actually the guy in charge with the veto power, which is, if you're going to have the peace thing, he should lead it. He shouldn't be on the board letting the emperor, who's in charge of blowing up the place, take over it. Trump appoints Blair, Rubio, Kushner as Gaza Board of Peace chairs. The U.S. president invited the Egyptian and Turkish presidents to join the so-called Peace Council while excluding any Palestinian political figures. Go figure. Netanyahu rejects Turkish Qatari inclusion in Trump's Board of Peace for Gaza. A draft of the board's charters indicates it will eventually become a global assembly led by Trump. Global government right there. And here's Ryan Grimm. I know it's obvious, but if you missed it, Trump has appointed himself lifetime leader of the world, technically chairman of the Board of Peace, and the term never expires. Article 3.3, succession and replacement chairman shall be at all times designate a successor for the role of chairman. Replacement of the chairman may occur only following voluntary resignation or as a result of incapacity, as determined by unanimous vote of the executive board, at which time the chairman's designated successor shall immediately assume the position of the chairman and all associated duties and authorities of the chairman. So Darth Vader is next in line, apparently. Yeah, let's get it. Chairman D.J. Trump shall serve as inaugural chairman of the Board of Peace, and he shall separately serve as the inaugural representative of the United States of America, subject only to the provisions of Chapter 3. The chairman shall have exclusive authority to create, modify, or dissolve subsidiary entities as necessary or appropriate to fulfill the Board of Peace's mission. Here's Steve Witkoff says the Board of Peace is not limited to Gaza. Quote, we have achieved a peace deal in Gaza. We have brought the hostages home, and maybe most importantly, we have destroyed that place. We have created a sense of hope for what the future can bring to Gaza and all other places where the Board of Peace will operate. Okay. Here, read this article, and it will all make sense. Trump's New World Order, Board of Peace. The proposed Gaza Board of Peace is not an isolated initiative. It is best understood as part of a broader strategic project. Trump does not seek to reform the United States and United Nations. He seeks to replace it. The UN system is built on law, formal equality between states, and institutional accountability. Trump's alternative model is built on deals, money, hierarchy, and coercive leverage. Where the UN relies on treaties and norms, this model relies on capital contributions, political loyalty, and centralized control. There's that C word. Gaza is the test case. The proposed governance architecture strips away UN law and substitutes technocratic management. UNRWA is dismantled. Refugee status and rights are replaced by conditional aid. UN peacekeeping is rejected in favor of U.S.-led international stabilization force. The legal framing of occupation is removed entirely. Under this model, there is no occupation law, no right of return, no independent investigations, and no binding human rights enforcement. What remains is a system run by appointed technocrats, major donors, and a security force designed to impose stability rather than adjudicate rights. This is not peacekeeping. It is a managed control empire rebranded as stability. How much longer is this? That's a long read. Where are we at? The Gaza Board of Peace as institutional design. The structure of the Board of Peace reflects this logic. Trump would chair the body, direct, controlling membership, approving decisions, and overseeing funds. Nikolay Madalov, former UN Middle East coordinator, would serve as the chief executive, managing daily oversight. Senior U.S. figures, including Rubio, Witkoff, Kushner, Lightstone, and Josh Grinborn, would drive strategy, governance capacity building, reconstruction, and investment coordination. International participation includes figures such as Blair, Banga from the World Bank, and financier Mark Rowan, alongside regional representatives from Turkey, the UAE, Qatar, and Egypt. Local Gaza administration is normally represented through Ali Shaith. Security would be handled by the International Stabilization Force under U.S. General Jasper Jeffers, with authority over demilitarization, border control, and aid delivery. According to reporting, permanent membership on the board would require a minimum contribution of $1 billion. States paying this amount in the first year would be exempt from term limits, effectively purchasing permanent influence. Governance becomes transactional. Access is bought. Authority flows from capital. Why the UN is being bypassed. UN peacekeeping and the US-led stabilization forces are not interchangeable mechanisms. They perform fundamentally different functions. UN peacekeeping missions monitor ceasefires, require host state consent, operate under restrictive rules of engagement, and are mandated to report human rights violations. They treat Gaza as occupied territory under international law. Their processes are slow, consensus-driven, and vulnerable to Security Council vetoes. Enforcement is limited, but legal accountability is built in. A U.S.-led stabilization force is coercive by design. It enforces disarmament, conducts raids, arrests, and seizures, and operates under centralized command. Deployment is fast, and coalition partners are handpicked. Legal exposure is minimized through bilateral agreements. Political ownership of outcomes is expected. Reconstruction would become a legal obligation rather than discretionary donor aid. Russia and China would gain leverage through the Security Council. Gaza would be framed as an occupation crisis, not a post-war development project. Why occupation law is the central battleground. Occupational law applies when the power exercises effective control over a territory, even without permanent troop deployment. Control over borders, airspace, sea access, population registries, or civilian life is sufficient to trigger it. Once a territory is deemed occupied, the controlling power has legal duties, not rights. Citizens must be protected. Food, water, and medical care must be ensured. Humanitarian access must be allowed. Collective punishment, mass displacement, and permanent political or demographic reshaping are prohibited. For the United States and Israel, this framework is dangerous. A UN-led process would treat Gaza as occupied territory. Human rights monitoring would be mandatory. Violations would have to be reported. Reconstruction would be governed by law, not charity. Third states aiding violations could face legal exposure. Occupational law shifts Gaza from the security problem to a legal responsibility regime. It limits coercive power, enforces accountability, and undermines narrative control. Why replacing the UN with the Board of Peace is dangerous. Trump's proposed Board of Peace is not about fixing the UN. It's about replacing it with a very different system. The UN, despite its flaws, there's plenty of them, is based on rules. Countries are formally equal. Authority comes from treaties and international law. Even powerful states are at least somewhat constrained by reporting requirements, investigations, and legal obligations. The Board of Peace model works differently. Power is concentrated at the top. Decisions are made by the chair, major donors, and a security force. There are no binding legal rules, no independent oversight, no real accountability. What matters is political alignment and money. Influence becomes something you pay for. Permanent seats tied to billion-dollar contributions turn international governance into a marketplace. Wealthy states shape outcomes. Poorer states are expected to accept them. Security is enforced, not negotiated. A U.S.-led stabilization force prioritizes control and compliance over consent. This may reduce violence in the short term, but it creates resentment and weak dependent governments in the long term. Accountability is internationally avoided. By bypassing the UN, human rights reporting and investigations are removed from the system. Legal exposure disappears. Power justifies itself. Most importantly, this model allows control without responsibility. By rejecting occupational law, outside actors can run territory without accepting legal duties to the population. That undermines the core protection of international humanitarian law. If applied globally, this would not bring order. It would fragment the international system, encourage rival blocs, and replace universal rules with patronage and coercion. Globally, this model marks the erosion of universal governance. Membership becomes selective. Influence is purchased. Human rights become optional. Allies receive immunity while adversaries face discipline. What is being tested in Gaza is not simply a post-war arrangement. It is an alternative world order architecture. And remember, they said it on a CNBC, Trump's New World Order. One where law is replaced by management, rights by aid, and accountability by enforced stability. This is not peacekeeping. It is the normalization of control without consent, dressed in the language of reconstruction and order. Another one, term president. He's actually asking to do another one. I would bet he would win too because of cheerleaders. U.S. announces Palestinian technocratic rule for Gaza. under Trump's board of peace. U.S. president also pledges Hamas demilitarization deal with support from Egypt, Turkey, and Qatar. Witkoff said that the second phase would establish a transitional technocratic Palestinian administration. You see that word. The move to establish a technocratic authority has been welcomed by Spain, which described it as a positive step toward the restoration of Palestinian unity. Here's Trump to Iran's regime. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Try to assassinate me and the whole country will get blown up. In a fiery News Nation interview, he says he's given strict orders for a devastating U.S. response targeting all of Iran and blast Biden for doing nothing. Yeah, I thought we were talking about peace here. He's already talking about the sign to peace and, blow up Iran if they do anything to me. Here's the Disclosed TV. The Board of Peace is formally ratified and established as an international organization. Again, he needs Congress to accept that for that to even happen. But, who cares? Yeah. Speaking of peace, because, it's all about peace. War is peace, ignorance is strength. It's all this.
We have a lot of ships going that direction, just in case. We have a big flotilla going in that direction, and we'll see what happens. We have a big force going toward Iran. I'd rather not see anything happen, but we're watching them very closely. I saw 837 hangings on Thursday.
I personally stopped 800 hangings.
They would have been dead. Every one of them would have been hung. This is like from 1,000 years ago. This is an ancient culture. Very smart people, by the way, but it's an ancient culture. 837, mostly young men, were going to be hung on Thursday. And I said, if you hang those people, you're going to be hit harder than you've ever been hit. It'll make what we did to your Iran nuclear look like peanuts. And an hour before this.
You remember what did he say about when they took out the Iran the first time? How big and bad it was? Oh, yeah.
Horrible thing was going to take place. They canceled it. And they actually said they canceled it. They didn't postpone it. They canceled it. So that was a good sign. But we have an armada. We have a massive fleet heading in that direction.
Must be the whole massive fleet that remember that we played it on Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? Yeah, I played it yesterday about the Mossad agent when the Denmark found and say, hey, you guys do this, and we're just going to expose every one of them. Hey, no more. Drop the stuff. Yep. I wonder if that armada, is that the same armada that went down to Venezuela? Team America, World Police. 180 skyscrapers for Gaza. Trump's son-in-law, Kushner, unveils master plan for Enclave's reconstruction. We have a master plan. There is no plan B. Thus spoke Jared Kushner, unveiling his plan of post-war Gaza in front of an audience at the World Economic Forum in Davos. If it failed, he said, blame would be easily to ascribe. If Hamas does not demilitarize, that would be what holds back the people of Gaza from achieving their aspirations, he said. So really? Did they ask for this? The presentation, which felt somewhat rushed, took place immediately after the signing of the charter for U.S. DJT's controversial Board of Peace, representing the next stage of the 20-point ceasefire plan agreed between Israel and Hamas in October. Kushner, as the president's son-in-law, who played a leading role in brokering the agreement, leaned into optimism, albeit the occasional notes of caution. At least one notable omission: the International Stabilization Force, a key part of Trump's original ceasefire plan for the Gaza Strip. Here's a look at some of the key points. Coastal tourism, an airport, and a port. Map of Gaza was pulled on screen to show how the enclave would be developed. A coastal tourism zone would run along the seafront long enough for up to 180 skyscrapers, many likely earmarked as hotels. Port will be shown in the southeastern side of Gaza alongside the border of Egypt, and immediately inland on the port, the map shows zoning for an airport. New cities. Here's the new Rafta. 100,000 permanent housing units, 200 plus educational centers, 180 cultural religious centers, 75 medical facilities. New Rafta, more than 100,000 permanent housing units will be built, along with 200 schools and more than 75 hospitals. New Gaza, it's kind of like New York. New Gaza would be the center of industry with the aim of achieving 100% full employment. Kushner said computer-generated images suggest a metropolis bearing a strong resemblance to the Persian Gulf cities like Dua and Dubai, with gleaming waterside accommodations and office locations. Who's going to pay for it? Governments will make the first contribution, Kushner said, with initial announcements to come at a conference in Washington in the next couple of weeks. Isn't he such a kind-hearted guy to be doing this? I wonder how much money he's not making out of that. Whatever, he's making a killing. Literally. Here's Kushner reveals the plan for a future Gaza that asks people on media and social media to just calm down for 30 days. Let us do our best by trying to working together. Our goal here is peace between Israel and the Palestinian people. Where's the other one? I know you can't hear it. I was trying to find a photo image. Okay, they don't have it. I thought someone else had it. I thought. Let's see. Yeah. That date on the PowerPoint, though, is October 6th, 2025. Yeah, see, does it have that on there? No, that don't show it on there. I wonder if he made that up then. Where is it at? I know are being looted. Yes, I know that. Who did it? I thought, let me see if I can find. Somebody took a photo. It was of AI on there. Bear with me just un momento, por favor. It's just a screenshot that the lady had too. Is this it? No. Here it is. Nope, that's a different. That was yesterday. Oh, here it is. I took a picture of the slide at WEF that shows you what's up. AI, machine learning. AI. Uh-oh, what's happening now? PSYOP expert Chase Hughes breaks down how the CIA recruits influencers. Stage 1 is I show you all of your browsing history, captures from your webcams of you doing the most compromising stuff you could ever possibly imagine. And I'd say, I like your podcast. I think you're doing a great job and I want to protect you. But we also want to give you $20,000 a month. So now you feel like you chose all of this, even though you're being asked to silence people, not have certain people on the show, leave something out of your podcast. You're telling yourself this is for the greater good. In the ICE baby program of the show, outrage after ICE detains boy 5 years old in Minnesota as lawyer claims agents used him as bait. Yeah, Israel is dealing with it. They're just telling all the people that they own to do it for them. So they're doing it. Here is a question. Do you have any ethical qualms against detaining a 5-year-old? Greg Bavino? No. ICE is posing as utility workers to gain entry into people's homes. This is straight up Israeli secret police lunacy. Completely unnecessary. Terror is the point. Distrust your neighbor. Distrust local businesses and public servants. Hospitals are next, by the way. There's a report from Oregon Capitol Chronicle. ICE poses as utility workers to detain immigrants, Gresham lawmaker warns. Oregon lawmaker said 3 people were detained in his district after ICE agents posed as utility workers. And I've seen Catholics go, yeah, get those back. Now we're okay with lying, going after your neighbor, getting any citizens. By the way, we got a citizen that's a Marine that got beat up. Here's ICE agents are now detaining parents, bringing their kids home from school, then using the child as bait to try to lure others. Yesterday in Columbia Heights, ICE agents arrested a man while he was bringing his 4-year-old son home from school. Instead of letting the parent arrange care or contacting a guardian, which ICE policy requires, agents appeared to take the child back into a back alley and used him as bait to try to draw others out of the home. When that didn't work, they took the child and left, which violates ICE's own policy. The policy is clear. Children are not to be taken into custody during enforcement actions unless they themselves are being arrested, and agents are required to prioritize the children's safety and immediate placement with the caregiver. And considering ICE's documented habit of moving people across state lines, remember they had the autism kid that they picked up, dropped him, brought him a couple state lines, didn't tell their family about it. Separating a child like this puts families and children in real danger. Detaining a 4-year-old with no warrant isn't immigration enforcement. Using a child as bait to lure out other family members is not law enforcement. It's a violation of common human freaking decency. It's a violation of basic constitutional protections and child welfare standards. Again, a lot of people keep saying it's not. It's like the cop yesterday. It's not that you're going after illegals. It's how you're doing this. You can't be doing stuff like this. No one in their right mind thinks this is okay. Especially remember I played yesterday, Trump saying, hey, we're not getting rid of all the illegals. We don't want to. Time out. All right, all you guys that are big Trump fans that want to get rid of all the illegals, square that circle. How do you do that one? Constitution applies to citizens. Actually, also Justice Scalia said it applies to anybody inside the states. That's Justice Anthony Scalia said a quote on that one. I'll pull that. You can Google that one. You can find that real easily. Local school district here is alleging ICE agents detained a 5-year-old preschooler on Tuesday. Are you proud of how your administration conducted this immigration crackdown? Vance. I actually saw this terrible story. Blah, 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 blah. Well, I did a little bit more fellow research on it. I found out that the 5-year-old was not arrested, that his dad was an illegal alien. Blah, blah, blah. You see that. Okay. Comes out the fact that, where is it at here? Yeah, now let me read more about the story, JD, and understand that wasn't an illegal alien. It was a person here under an active asylum case. ICE once again failing at their job and the administration backing them up, according to Grok. And again, don't trust it 100%, but it's a very good researcher. The family's asylum case is active with no deportation order, per their lawyer and school officials. They entered legally in December 2024, fleeing Ecuador. ICE says the father fled during the arrest, leaving the child. They denied using him as bait. Both are now in Texas Detention Center. Enforcement aims to uphold immigration laws, but benefits are debated amid policy goals. Here's Brent Schuyler saying, I knew it was fake when I saw it on Mrs. Rachel's Instagram. No, ICE didn't take this kid from his family. His illegal immigrant father ran away and abandoned his child. There's Homeland Security. There's someone else brushing. Did someone else bring that up? Yeah. Death of Cuban detainee in El Paso ICE facility is ruled a homicide. An autopsy from the county medical examiner said the detainee, Geraldo Lunas Campos, was asphyxiated and restrained by law enforcement. Federal officials described his death as a suicide. White House posts digital altered image of woman arrested after ICE protest. Guardian analysis shows images are the same, with Nakima Levy Armstrong looking composed and original, but sobbing after altercation. Here's video alleges that ICE, without a warrant, detained a kindergarten-age girl with autism in an attempt to force her mother out of the home so they could arrest her. Give me the daughter back. Quote, no, you're going to have to come out here and get her. Here's CJ Hopkins. Has America been made great again, great enough again for you yet? Photographer photographed this boy walking home alone with a snack, being randomly approached by DHS after he was unable to produce documentation proving his citizenship because he's a kid coming home from school. Agents informed him that he was under arrest. He said, "Can I just go home?" Answer, no. Here's David Blair. DHS lied. The guy was not on the loose in Minnesota when they raided a U.S. citizen's home without a warrant. He was actually in prison. DHS wouldn't know this info. Man, I saw it in humiliating arrest of U.S. citizen has been in prison since 2024. Vance on whether ICE entering homes without a warrant is legal. Quote, I think that's what we think. That's our understanding of the law, which apparently he doesn't understand the law. Fourth Amendment is pretty good on but that's our understanding of the law, that we can do whatever the heck we want. Okay, then that just says you just go ahead and say Constitution was a dead document. We're not doing it. Forget all you guys do. We'll do what we want. Again, divorce from DC. There's no way anybody can say that is a that is legal. You don't understand that people are sick of this. We don't want anything inhumane. ICE is doing their best. These people will go whether they like it or not. Problem is, I don't believe that. As the cop yesterday in Minnesota said, they're going after cops. They're going out there. And he said that they have cops. Most of the chiefs have stories like them out. And they even said we are totally fine with the idea of getting rid of illegals. It's how they're doing it. Just approaching people, give me your paper, where's your papers, all this, busting them up. Again, I posted this just because, you know what? Let's see if anybody forgot about this one. Let's get right here. This was in Charlotte, day one. They dragged him from the truck, and he was a Trump voter, a U.S. citizen. They came and arrested him twice. He wasn't alone. Where is it at? Let's see. 65% of people taken by ICE have no convictions. 93% no violent convictions. Remember, the sales pitch by ICE is what? Let's say the phrase, the worst of the worst. New non-public data from ICE indicate that the government is primarily detaining individuals with no criminal convictions of any kind. Also, among those with criminal convictions, they are overwhelmingly not the violent offenses that ICE continuously uses to justify its deportation agenda. And remember, Barack Obama deported way more people than this, but this is off the walls right now. One reason I think is because everyone has a cell phone and can video everything. Two is also this is a psyop to get you to hate each other, to hate your neighbor, and to help bring in the technocratic police state that was going to get all of us down the road. So everyone that's cheering it on right now, congrats. It's going to come back and haunt us down the road. ICE has shared the data with people outside the agency who shared the numbers with the Cato Institute. And if you guys want to argue with me, go come at it. I got the info to back it up. Here's ICE whistleblower just revealed a secret memo authorizing ICE officials to break into homes without judicial warrant, which DHS's own legal training materials say is unconstitutional. Somebody defend that. Come on, you guys got to, if you're an ICE defender, defend this. ICE then hid the memo from the public, passing it along by word of mouth. Even worse, they're specifically only teaching this to the brand new, inexperienced agents they've hired en masse, while keeping the policy hidden from everyone else who may know better. Director Ted Lyons authorizes ICE agents to forcibly enter into certain people's homes without a judicial warrant, consent, or an emergency. Again, violation 4A. Another day in Trump's America, ICE agents violently drag a U.S. veteran out of her car near Minneapolis. Get out of the blanking car. You know, I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I don't care what you are, says ICE. I can't play the thing because there's too much cussing going on, but look how they're treating her. Again, worst of the worst, they tell you. U.S. Marine vet. I didn't mean to get that out of there. Alteju. So I was trying to get the wordy-durs that are virtuous ICE agents got to keep on doing because they're roughing up some female Marine. ICE could walk in anyone's home soon. Yeah, that's literally said. They literally said they could go in anyone's, as they said yesterday. I showed you probable cause. Anything they want to think. The guy, hey, that guy probably has something wrong with him. The joke on TV shows like when you hear somebody yelling in the background, they hear a baby cry. Let's go in. They can do exactly that. You know who's going to get it? If you're illegal, deport them. You don't seem to get it. You aren't going to have constitutional rights anymore. Again, Trump doesn't care. Trump hires. Does anybody need me to play Trump saying that he does not want to get rid of all the illegals because he employs them? We played it yesterday. If you didn't watch the show yesterday, I can pull it up if you want. This one's not. Let me see if I can get it without it doing that. ICE places ankle monitor on Maryland women who provided U.S. birth certificate. Worst of the worst. Say the phrase. Greg Bavino and his border control agents deployed toxic green chemical gas right outside a park and playground down the street from an elementary school in Minneapolis immediately after dismissal. The school bus was forced to drive straight through the gas. Children entered the park. Buses were actively transporting students home. Blah, blah, blah. And in the video, you can hear Bavino ordering people to get back, warning he would deploy the gas, not because anybody was in front of their vehicles, not because they were blocked, but because protesters were standing on the public sidewalks filming. And Greg didn't deploy the gas into the street. Oh, no, he threw it towards the park. Agents threw it up next to the playground, forcing people to run, later forcing the school bus to drive straight through the smoke. After gassing the area, agents walked through the public sidewalk, assaulting people who were simply recording, then got back in their cars and drove away, leaving residents coughing and scrambling to escape the toxic chemicals. And to make it worse, Border Patrol has no crowd control authority. They are not executing operation. They had no legal justification to stop, escalate, or use chemical force. Unless their mission was terrorizing a public park near a school, they had zero authority to stop the gas and gas civilians. And the funny thing was, the wind blew it back into their faces. I would fight because I would fight back. This is being taken. You may not be a gun owner and have to be taken. Face charge of many do. I guess I have to play Trump saying not. Chris, you can say get them all out. The guy that's control this, that's even doing this, he even disagrees with it. Or how about this? Everyone that says get them all out, call out Trump for being a hypocrite. Let's see. Trump, illegals. Where's it at? Here it is. There, right off the bat. Trump wants Americans to keep paying for their own replacement. He mentions hotels who profited the most of his massive invasion off the U.S. by housing illegals funded by their own tax dollars. And this is not the first time. He did that. I'll play it here and let me hear all the words. It's not about TT. Great. If you heard me talk about this many times, is getting rid of the illegals, I get it. It's fine. You deport them if you want. Again, Obama did way more than Trump has ever done. Clinton, even more. It's how you're doing it. If you're going to say the worst of the worst, is pulling a lady out of the car and beating the crap out of her the worst of the worst? Is beating up the citizens the worst of the worst? Is it okay to arrest U.S. citizens? Is it okay to just go after all the brown people and then say, if someone goes, I'm a U.S. citizen, to beat them up anyways? Yes, it's not a perfect process. That's not an excuse. That's a weak excuse right there. Is it okay to beat up a U.S. citizen? I get the idea is to go after the illegals. Even then, do you beat the tar out of them? Or do you just round them up in the paddy wagon, put them in a thing, and help get them back to wherever they came from? I assume, being humane, that we're not supposed to beat the tar out of them. And yes, many are not citizens. Here in the state of North Carolina, when they did Operation Charlotte's Web, I'll go back to that for a week. They were here for a week. Not many illegals are, Mark, if you want to put the number up, you can. 150,000 illegals. They arrested 300. So if it's about deporting illegal aliens, why in the world did they stop at 300 and leave after a week? And most of the people they did detain, half of them were U.S. citizens. And the other guys have like petty theft. I think they got one guy that did something bad. Explain to me. Tell me how that. Tell me why that is, if that's the case. If it's your narrative, I'm using your narrative. The worst, the worst. I just showed you a couple people getting beat up, and I could do that for an entire hour. You don't believe it? Look at the last last couple of shows. I have at least 20 links every show about something like that. And it's not perfect because it's illegal. Here's a conservative Gunther Eagleman. This is my neighborhood. Liberal man with a rifle stands outside a home in St. Paul to protect his neighbors from ICE. Only a man with abandoned principle would demand such a thing. Imagine hypocritically claiming the Second Amendment was written so people could use their arms to defend against tyrannical government, only to turn around and call for that tyrannical government to cage an innocent gun owner because you believe he belongs to another political party. Again, team party politics. We must protect our own country. Exactly. My country is North Carolina. The Federal Republic is the United States of America. It is not a country. Never has, never was, unless you're a centralist. And then if you're a centralist, that's the problem. Because guess what? Back in the day, back during Obama days, Alabama, I think it was getting rid of a lot of illegals, cleaning it all out. Guess who came down and said no? The federal government, Obama. States could get rid of these guys like that if they wanted to. But the feds decided, it used to be a state thing. States were in charge of immigration. Now it's not. Now the feds are in charge. Why do you think it's a problem, the feds? You think this just showed up because of that? Reagan didn't help out on this. The GOP back in the 80s didn't help on this. Bush, Obama, Clinton, Obama. You can blame all of them. It's a team. It's both sides that did this. This is not Brandon. Brandon is not the only one that did this. They're going to blame it on him because it's just team party politics, because we don't think back longer than 2 minutes anyways. But we're going to blame Brandon because Trump says blame Brandon. And it's very easy to do. Wasn't that hard? There's a lot of goofy things that went on. And on top of that's why he's in there right now. He can do Stargate day one. No one's going to care because they get rid of the illegals. Hey, we're going to do a technocratic takeover, ethnic cleansing, all that. It's okay. He can get rid of the illegals. Whatever you want. You want to kill a bunch of kids overseas? Go for it. Just get rid of the illegal guy that doesn't even live near you. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you're somebody's upset about something that's going, illegals in an area. I haven't even met one, even though I don't go up and say, hey, are you illegal or not illegal? I mean, there might have been a guy at Lowe's today when I went by that was illegal. I have no idea. But you know what? I have zero illegals that have ever hurt me. And I guarantee zero illegals have ever hurt you guys. And guess who has hurt? I would bet DC has. They at least stole your money. Ryan Grimm. Renee Good was shot through the side of her head, which means through the side window. How do you justify shooting her through the side window? Let a jury sort this out if you are confident in its righteousness. John Jackson says an independent autopsy of Renee Good reveals that she had 3 gunshot wounds to the left arm, right lung, and the left temple that exited the right side of her head. That means the third shot, the most unlawful one from the side, likely killed her. And now we're like, again, that right there, people on one side is going to be like, I can't get, she got what she deserved. All right. Now we're that team. The left side, the fake left does it, and the fake right does it. Another judge describes how ICE intentionally break checks ICE observers trying to cause accidents. If the observers can't stop in time, it can then label them domestic terrorists who weaponize their vehicles, which of course justification in killing them. ICE vehicle has braked abruptly in front of a witness, and other ICE officers driving behind the witness has activated emergency lights to initiate a stop. Like tapping your brake if someone's following too close. Everyone's done that, I'm sure. Trump just declared that invoking the Insurrection Act will let him implement his immigration crackdown without going through the court system. That's nonsense, but it's telling. Trump thinks that it lets him rule like a military dictator. Apparently, there's more than one. Yeah, Trump's claim the Insurrection Act lets him avoid the court system is made up. In fact, even if he invoked it, the decision and its implementation would face lawsuits and get ruled on by courts. I quote a few experts on the issue here. Trump seems to be under the misimpression that invoking the Insurrection Act is tantamount to imposing military rule. Trump's claim that the act lets him avoid courts is a window into his martial law fantasies. Again, now we're for martial law. 2020, we weren't against martial law because there's Democrats closing in the cities and things like that. With people are being arrested on the beach, walking, things like that. You get arrested for just not wearing a muzzle. Now it's reversed. Now we want martial law, our guys. That is clear in Trump world. Stephen Miller plainly wants Trump to deploy dictatorial power to cow resistance into submission. Susie Wiles wants voters to think Trump isn't capable of military rule. She thinks normal politics still matters. The deeper issue is Miller and maybe Vance want people who are eager to show solidarity with immigrants to fear state violence. They want us to fear Trump is capable of the worst. I try to develop a theory in a moment here. So, again, this is all in the show notes. You take a look. It's in the link, chronological order. 1 year ago, Trump took office, the oath to serve the American people. Instead, he used that presidency to enrich himself. New York Times editorial board writes, he has pocketed at least $1.4 billion in this past year. And in weather, National Guard activated in 8 states declare emergencies ahead of catastrophic winter storm set to hit 200 million people. And where North Carolina, I think South Carolina too, was already declared a state of emergencies. Largest U.S. electric grid expects all-time record winter demand. I told my wife that we're not going to lose power, but if they do, it's because they're going to shut it off. By the way, a year ago to the day yesterday was the Florida blizzard of 2025. It's kind of amazing that happens almost on the same time every year now. Where eagles stare. Oh, by the way, Dane Winninger from weather geoengineering weather, he thinks that I'm kind of with him. They were spraying the tar out of the skies yesterday. And I dropped some stuff at Goodwill today, and the two of the guys were telling me too. He goes, "Yeah, man, I've never seen the sky. It was lines everywhere. It was a grid. I've never seen it so painted like that before." And the front moved through today, so skies were clear today. It'll be something to see what comes out of this thing. Incredible spy eagles being trained to completely destroy rogue drones in new war on the machines. Okay. Alex Honnold is climbing Taipei 101 with no ropes live on TV. It's drawing excitement and concern. How big is this thing? They don't show a photo of this thing. It's also, see if how tall is that? 1,667 feet high. Apple is reportedly making its own wearable AI pin. The iPhone maker might be preparing to battle OpenAI's own family of AI gadgets. And 1,000% for this. The visits prepondering the idea of American balkanization. And you got the Commonwealth of New England, Federal Republic of New Germany. Hey, you guys in the Midwest, Mark, that's in you're part of New Germany there. Cascading Commune, Greater California Republic, Republic of Alaska, Kingdom of Hawaii, give the kingdom back to Hawaii. I like it. United Texan States and the Confederate States of America. I don't care how the rest of you guys work it out. I'm cool with that part right there. This is just an idea. This isn't sci-fi. It's our current reality. Nearly 9,500 Starlink satellites are weaving a global digital web, bringing high-speed internet, blah, 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 all that jazz. But it's also spying the crap on all of us. And I just wanted to show you that one because again, if there were aliens, they'd be knocking down those satellites all over the place, probably. But yeah, talk about a police world. That thing they're spying on you at all moments of the day. It's been hard here for years. Mark has to be firm as a victim of propaganda. It's not going to work. We're done. Okay. In this day in history, I was just reading some of you guys in the chats. 1984. Apple releases the famous 1984 ad. Now it's real. 2021. Hank Aaron was killed by did I supposed to say that? One of the greatest games hitters died at age 86. Catholic guy. And many people thought to say that he was killed by the powers for the the jibbity jab thing. He took it, and wasn't too long after that. Yeah, he's a corpse. 2018, Ursula Le Guin died at age 88. 2010, struggling with ratings. Conan O'Brien left the Tonight Show. 2006, Evo Morales was sworn in as president of Bolivia. 1998, Ted Kaczynski, better known as the Unabomber, was sentenced to 4 terms in life without parole. If you want to learn some more about the Unabomber and what really happened, check out Corbett Report for that one. 1992, serving as a payload specialist aboard Discovery Space Shuttle, Roberta Bonder becomes the first Canadian woman to travel into space. 1973, U.S. Supreme Court issued one of its Roe versus Wade, that a Texas statute, blah, blah, blah. It was overturned in 2027. And actually, this day in 1973, if anybody that ran a state had any kind of spine, they should have done, say, nullify, and that would have been dead on arrival. DOA, but no one did. And even now, you still have pro-lifers wanting a centralized solution to this instead of trying to get rid of getting states to ban it, like South Carolina's about to ban it, but no one cares. 1943, during World War II, all Japanese resisted the Paparo, the island of New Guinea, ceased. 1931, singer and songwriter Salmon Cooke was born in Clarksdale, Mississippi. 1905 was later known as Bloody Sunday. Russian workers marching on St. Petersburg were fired on by Russian troops. 1904, influential ballet choreographer George Balanchine was born in St. Petersburg, Russia. 1901, Queen Victoria died at age 81. 1898, Sergei Eisenstein was born. 1849, playwright, novelist, and short story writer August Strindberg was born in Stockholm. 1541, statesman and philosopher Frederick Bacon was born in York House, London. Now, I guess not a lot of stuff happened today, except a lot of births and deaths. Anyway, have a great rest of the night. I'll try to do something tomorrow, probably. We're not supposed to get hit hard until Saturday. And anyways, have a great rest of the night. This went a little long, but glad to have you guys with me. Thanks for coming in. Even the haters, you guys disagree. I like the disagreement. Bring it on. We'll engage. How about that? It'll be, as long as you keep it cool, I'll keep it cool. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Comment and note. See you tomorrow. Have a great rest of the night, and God bless.